Come explore our world of coffee. DeLuna Coffee features over 24 different blends. DeLuna's unique roasts can be delivered ground finely for drip coffee makers, coarse for the craft crowd, untouched as a whole bean, or even in convenient K-Cups. Founded in 2014 by the Lemmix family, Ed and Brett are FSU alums and boosters who are extending a special offer to all listeners. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up, wake up. Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, Renegade Express. Questions from our valued subscribers over on warchant.com. All day on the show. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. Check them out, cptallybar.com. Always pull that phone out, open your camera app, take a photo of the QR code, takes you right to the website where you can find out that today the lunch special is the cheesesteak, chicken or steak, whichever you prefer. That goes on from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday to Friday. Come back for happy hour. Then come stick around and play some bingo on Thursday night over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Always a good time. Lots of football going on this weekend, even though the Noles aren't in action. So tap on in. Hop on over to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Right, Corey?
Indeed, and I would recommend the Smokehouse Chicken Sandwich. That's been my go-to here recently. I used to get it as a wrap, and you can do that. It's fine. I'm not going to judge you for it, but, man, it knocks it out of the park every time. Every time. So, yeah, their cheese curds are good. I try not to eat a ton of cheese curds anymore, Aslan. You know, we've done a try to do a lifestyle change, but I'll dabble. Okay. I'll dabble. The good news is Corner Pocket does have enough healthy food that if you are trying to change your lifestyle, you can just drink water and vodka now and eat a side salad with some chicken breast. I mean, they got all the options for you at Corner Pocket.
Every lunch special comes with a side dish, by the way, folks. Curly fries, straight fries, onion rings, potato salad, broccoli, side salad, tots, or freshly cooked potato chips. You should be like their Jared of Subway, but without all the creepiness behind it. You know, like, look at me.
Yeah, yes, correct. Yeah, that's right. I could be showing my pants.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I used to, although they're the same, they're still the same. They're very baggy, just like they were 9 months ago.
I know. I pulled up the Syracuse champagne dousing video from last year to, I think, put in maybe the Florida wrap that you and Ira did the other week.
Right.
And I was like, man, look at our guy. And like, I never thought you were always a handsome man. You know, I never thought you looked, you know, unhealthy. I never thought I needed to sit you down like, hey, man, let's think about some of the decisions we're making in our life. But yeah, man, like, you look so noticeably different. I'm glad you feel good, though. Most importantly, I mean,
you didn't say I look better. You just said I look different.
Well, no, I mean, it goes without saying, man.
Okay, I didn't know. Some people tell me I look like I've lost too much weight.
Oh, they're called haters, Corey.
It's exactly what I told them. I don't. They're not in my life anymore.
Let's get, I guess, to the Renegade Express, but maybe I want to make a quick pit stop. Anything you want to take away from Wednesday? We'll be back out there later today for practice. Man, you know, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like that 45-minute practice they had on Wednesday.
Man, that was something, huh?
I'm a big fan of it, man.
Yeah.
Were you able to observe anything? I was outside trying to upload the practice video for the 455 people that watched it.
No, I think what they were doing was a lot of, like, I think it was an early practice it was a shorter practice for the vets. But then the younger guys, the guys on scout team, the freshmen, they were still practicing when we were interviewing the vets and and Mike Norvell. So I think it was kind of like a Sunday practice. Gotcha. You know what I mean? Where they give those guys real reps, the younger guys, and the older guys get to rest their bodies and heal. That's what it felt like to me. We'll see if the one today is similar, which would make sense. Get the young guys as many reps as possible. So no, couldn't really. There was nothing to observe other than the people that were there.
Right.
That was a good sign that there were the people that you were wondering. We wrote about it. Verse and Robinson, Jamie Robinson. Those were the only two guys like that we that have decisions, quote unquote, to make that we talked to on Wednesday. If you don't know this, you should, because it's on Warchant. It's been on Warchant for 24 hours now at this point. By the time you're listening to this, they did say that they plan on playing in the bowl. Mm-hmm. Jamie Robinson was much more steadfast and emphatic. He is definitely playing in the bowl. Jared Verse, I think he might have used the word likely or probably, planning to, something like that. So we'll see. Neither one of them announced what decision they would make after the bowl. But yes, they both said they plan on playing in the bowl, which is very good news for Florida State. And anybody else you might have been wondering about was also out at practice.
Okay. There you go. Well done, Corey. Yeah,
Thanks, buddy.
I don't know. I think maybe we did not ask. I was part of the contingent that was talking to Jared Verse, and none of us explicitly asked, hey, man, are you going to play in the bowl game? I was like, since you're here practicing, is this indicative of anything of your future plans? I was talking about NFL almost. And he was like, oh, he's like, I plan on playing in the bowl game. I was always planning on playing in the bowl game. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good to see. Don't want to dive too far into it.
I would have been there, Aslan, but I got confused. So as we're talking to Norvell after the 45-minute practice, the scene from Wizard of Oz shows up on the practice fields. I mean, it was dark and scary looking, that sky.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm out of here, man. I asked my one or two questions. I'm gonna go inside or somewhere else because we're all about to get dumped on. And then Steven, one of the SIDs, said, hey, we're moving we're going to move the interviews to the tradition room with the players. And I got confused and thought he meant the museum. Again, the museum with no artifacts. It's been called the museum for 15 years. There's literally nothing in it that is museum. That's just what they call it now. That I started walking over there and then realized, oh, he did say tradition room, which is in the baseball stadium, which is right next to the practice field. And the tradition room could be called the museum because they do have a lot of cool stuff in there. Yeah. Florida State baseball doing it up right at Hauser. I don't think they let any fans come in and look at it, but still, it's cool. So yeah, I missed the Jared Verse part. And then so I just helped out with Dylan Gibbons and recorded him.
Yeah. Tom Lang also has thoughts on that. Check it out over on our YouTube page. You should subscribe to it. Hit the thumbs up. That'd be cool, as well as our podcast here on the iOS Apple devices. Do that. Everybody would appreciate it. All right, let's get to it, Corey. Lots of questions. This one is a good one. I like this one. Just right to the point, very brief, concise, succinct, mahogany strap. Which transfer target would mean more for next year's success? A dominant tight end, a 10-sack defensive end, or a first-round defensive tackle?
The first-round defensive tackle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, what do you think, Patrick Payton? They already have one on staff here, one already on the roster, a 10-sack defensive end.
Look, man, I'm going to be polite here. We cover a good football team, but think about what all the teams were able to do to Florida State's defense when Fabian Lovett wasn't on the field. And I'm talking about Louisville. Louisville scored 31 points and just busted them straight up the middle. Clemson, straight up the middle. Wake Forest couldn't even affect the mesh. They were holding that thing for 16 seconds before they would throw it because you had nothing in the middle that made much of an impact. If you get yourself a first-round defensive tackle like somebody better than Fabian Lovett, that's a big deal. Like, you won them all. And you probably will be looking for them all, but I think and it showed up against Florida. Like, when you didn't have you didn't have a lot of depth there, and Florida kind of just dictated what they wanted to do. 3rd and 7, they'd run up the middle, even with the backup quarterback. But by the way, what? Yeah, I assume you guys listening to this have heard by now the backup the Kitna for Florida. Yikes. So that's what concerns me the most going into next season is by far the defensive line. Look, man, you had a top 10 offense this year without a special tight end. Mm-hmm. So I feel like you could do that again next year.
Hey, Fabian did play 53 reps against Florida. So
who did?
Actually, no. Why does it pull up 2021? Why would you do that to me, computer? And then it bounces to craziness. He played 63. I take it back. Fabian Lovett played 63 snaps against Florida.
And he got pushed around like they all did. He less so than the other players, but that's what I'm saying.
Well,
if you're strong in the middle, man.
But, PFF's PFF.
If you're strong in the middle, that's you just make people become one-dimensional. If you can stop the run, that's enormous. And they could not stop the run when Fabian Lovett was not in the game, typically.
Just to be devil's advocate, and I really shouldn't be devil's advocate because, again, we got a lot of questions to get to here. But, he played, but, man, I don't know how close to 100% Jared Verse was this season. And it was also kind of around the same time they lost Fabian. So it definitely didn't help that they didn't have Fabian and they had an affected Jared Verse. But That's why I think it's close. I think you're right. Give yourself a first-round defensive tackle. Like the gap between that and a top 10 pass rusher or whatever the qualifier was is much closer.
It was 10 sacks.
Yeah, 10 sacks.
Yeah.
That's a close, like, I don't know, like a inch or so if I'm holding up here in the air. And then there's a huge drop-off between those two and having a big-time playmaking.
I agree.
Tight end.
You could argue either way with the defensive end. I mean, you have had two very good defensive ends in back-to-back years. That really does help. You need to go either keep Verse around or go get another one for sure. I just think defensive tackle and defensive end are needs.
Yes.
Tight end is a want.
Okay. Well said. Noleboy02, wake up, gentlemen. Wow. Feels so good to be state champs again. What would you guys consider the best play of the season? For me, it's between Shaheem, the block, and Jordan's run. Jordan's run was incredible, but I feel Shaheem's block was the biggest sign of things changing. Thanks for answering my question. Support the players with merchandise, YouTube accounts, Warchant and their staff, Rising Spear, and our Florida State Seminoles. Want to go off the board, or is it one of those?
I mean, I think
best play, not maybe so biggest, but I don't know.
I was going to say, but best. I mean, he blocked an extra point, but I mean, he didn't say biggest play, did he?
No, he said best.
He said best. I would say either the Jamie Robinson tackle in Miami, or the Jordan Travis run Friday night against Florida. Those are my two. That Trey Benson throwing dudes off him is fun as well. But I just think those two are the two clear leaders for like best play, like just most jaw-dropping type of play.
I'm gonna win for once, and I didn't even look at this question before. I'm gonna win for once. The real answer is Pokey's punt return against NC State. That's the right answer.
I mean, that's kind of lost in the shuffle because they lost the game, but it was really cool.
It was
You're right.
It was amazing.
You're right.
Play.
That was a really cool. I thought you were going to say his one-handed catch against LSU. That was there's a lot of choices.
Yeah, not a
Johnny Wilson and Tate Rodemaker hooking up in the back corner of the end zone, or the 70-yard bomb to Johnny Wilson against Louisville. Yeah. All those are good choices. Trey Benson's kickoff return.
Yeah. Lots. Big Bill 86 disagrees about rushing the field, says we should lighten up. I guess more so me than you. All right, cool. JCC 1213, Aslong, Corey, I went to Gene Deckerhoff's retirement sign-off at the Tallahassee Quarterback Club. Had a great time. Heard crazy stories from many. Question, what's your favorite Deckerhoff radio call moment? His was back in the 90s when Kendra would score. He would say something like, come out of the phone booth, Superman. 3, 2, 1, come out of the phone booth, Superman.
Yeah.
I don't have a good Deckerhoff. Sorry, Gene.
It's not bad, though. That was better than I thought it would be. I mean...
This is all you. Yeah, I know this is your account. Reaching back.
I like that he always called E.G. Green Ernie Green.
Okay.
Because I'm with him on that, because the E.G. for was Ernie Green. That was the initials. It wasn't like his name was Ernie Goliath Green. It was Ernie Green. I mean, that isn't.
You want to go with Gregory or like?
Yeah, I couldn't think of a G.
G?
I almost said Ginny.
Jeez. Oh, clear that throat.
I couldn't think of a G, a name that started with a G. So I like that he always called him Ernie Green. But I think his two best calls that I always think of were the Ward to Dunn pass in the swamp, where he says he separates. I mean, that's just a perfect call. The volume in his voice, the excitement, the way he describes it in the moment is incredible. And then when Luke Laux found Mike Snare for the game-winning 3 at Duke. And he says the little team that could just did, or whatever he said. It was like in the moment, it just was like he was thinking about it all game, like he was expecting a buzzer beater. It was nuts. He just, Gene was good, man. He was very good. I like the new guy too, though. He has the Jeff has the Colhane, I should say. He's not just known as the new guy, although he probably will be known as the new guy for at least 10 years. He has the right gravitas in his voice for the moments, I think.
Yeah. What would be second best? And let me give you options. What about 2003 PK Sam touchdown versus 2013 Kenny Green in Boston College, Chestnut Hill?
Kenny Shaw.
Come
on, Aslan, get it together.
I know, but didn't he said Rashad, but it was Kenny who made the catch.
Oh, yeah, he did say Rashad. Yeah, no, that wasn't great.
But the energy, though, the energy, like, caught!
Yeah, he let everybody know it was a touchdown. Whoever caught it was almost irrelevant. It was like it was a touchdown. And what was the first one?
PK Sam 2003.
Yeah, man, I'll be honest with you. I've heard that a few times, but the one I love more than that is the Mick Huber one.
Yeah, you're right. No,
The Florida guy. It's
do it, Corey, do it.
PK Sam. Like, just how sad he is a lot better than how excited Deckerhoff is, in my opinion.
No. Naked_Nole. Wake up. Thought experiment for you. Okay. Hypothetical Florida State fan has passed away. They have earmarked a posthumous donation of $50,000 American dollars to the program.
Okay.
The deceased, wanting all the value out of the donation, has designated the staff of Warchant to allocate these funds with the instruction to maximize wins for 2023. I know Corey's immediate answer is kicking coach, but you could choose to pay the players as well. Now, would your answer change if the purpose of the donation is to maximize wins in the next 3 seasons? I don't want to speak for you, Corey, but I feel like it doesn't matter what year it is. You're just all about talent acquisition. All that $50,000 would go to a player. And that's probably not the wrong answer. That's probably
yes,
the right answer.
It's absolutely the right answer. I just worry how far is that going to get us? $50,000 a lot of money. It's a very, very gracious donation, gift to the school. But if that puts you over the top to get you, a lineman from the Big Ten, or if that puts you over the top to keep your quarterback, that's where I think it should go. I don't think you can divvy it up like 10 here, 10 there, 10 here. I don't think that'll matter as much as like adding to the kitty of like one great player that can change the season.
Maybe like if somebody came after Alex Atkins, I don't know if that would keep him $50,000. But in terms of like maximizing wins next season, because this offensive line, you don't want to take a step back. But yeah, give me a difference maker, true freshman, a guy that can step in day one. That's where the money's going to go to. Good question. Good thought exercise. WWC 1117. Sup, gentlemen. With all this dadgum winning this year, we're hopefully on the right track. I am now worried about Mike Norvell getting poached from the Noles in the next few years. Do y'all know if he was a Texas or Texas A&M fan growing up? Him being from Texas, I was just curious. I'd hate for those weirdo Aggies to snatch another one from us. Thanks for an outstanding season. Keep up the Lord's work. Go Noles.
I've never heard him talk about Texas and Texas A&M. He always talked about he was actually a Florida State fan. I mean, but who knows how accurate that is.
Yeah, he had a 93 championship license plate on his wall growing up.
That's right. So,
but he's a big college football fan, though, he's saying. He appreciates the pageantry of college football. So I'm sure maybe, the 40 acres would be somewhat appealing, but I don't.
I would just think, no way you lose another coach to A&M. Yeah, I wouldn't think that happened. But look, man, that will be, if he gets this thing really rolling, like playoff bound, you are going to have to, the price of business will clearly go up. But everything else goes up, like ticket sales, booster donations, like the money comes, the more you win, the more money comes in. So you just got to keep them in the conversation. He has to know at Florida State he is not going to be the highest paid coach in the country. It just isn't going to happen. But you keep competitive with, I don't know, the Missouris of the world, the Wisconsins of the world, the Nebraskas of the world. If you can stay competitive with them. But again, he also has to know, like, all right, man, go to Nebraska. Like, every Big Ten school, literally every Big Ten school can outbid Florida State for a coach, which is absurd, and it's stupid. It's outrageous. It's ridiculous that Vanderbilt has more money to go pay a coach than Florida State does because of these stupid ESPN TV deals, but that's the life we're in. But he also has to be smart about it, man. Like, if you're going to leave a team that constantly can compete for playoff spots and every now and again a national championship, because Florida State can, if it has the right coach, I think is that's been proven. You can't leave to go just chase the money at a school that can't win anymore. Nebraska's not going to win anything ever. Matt Rule can make them decent again. They are not competing and winning national championships. They are not. It's over. Those days are done. So he can go to another school like that. That's fine. Go cash in. But then you're going to get fired there in a few years, and then what? So I would think he know that he has a good thing going here.
Well, this day and age, I mean, Matt Rule can probably get Nebraska into a 12-team playoff.
Yeah, but you can't win a national title. And I don't even know if he could do that, man. I mean, maybe. I guess.
Baylor was gross. That was what he did there was pretty remarkable. But what I think it comes down to here is this, man. And then to Corey's point,
it's also Texas, right? He does get the beauty of Texas.
Yeah.
Nebraska high school football ain't it?
Yeah. To Corey's point, I think there will be some sort of, or you hope there's some sort of understanding that, we can't match. We can't give you this sort of life. You give Stephanie a fantastic life, but you can't give her the life that, George Clooney gives them all. There's some things that we just can't do.
It's a very apt comparison.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
No problem. But at a
dapper guys, a little older.
Yeah. But at a certain point, it's as long as Florida State gives him what he needs to succeed, which they have, right? They've expanded the support staff. They've given him the money to keep his coordinators happy. When that stops, and whatever, don't want to relitigate this. Rightly, wrongly, Jimbo felt he probably wasn't getting what he wanted, right? So that gave him the out to leave. Now, the second you give that to Mike Norvell, I think he turns into every other coach. And he's a great dude. I mean, he seems cut from a different cloth. But, he's a competitor. And if you don't give him what he needs to succeed, I think at that point he would leave. But to the point that we're trying to make here is, man, that everything's been so remarkable this season, the turnaround, that it's hard to imagine he's going to hear a lot of no. So, and I don't want to talk about NFL, but, the competitor in him maybe would go for that. But otherwise, Florida State, as long as you have the support you want, you are in a conference at least that gives you a good path of getting to a 12-team playoff in this sort of configuration, and you have great talent around you, and you're an hour away from the beach. So hour and a half. Shout out St. George Island. So, yeah.
And you have a history of being in a program that wins titles. All that stuff matters.
Iconic brand. That
really
good television rating apparently Friday night, right?
Yeah, it had the second most. It was right at 7 million people watched the game on Friday night, which was the second most viewed game of the weekend. Obviously, well behind Ohio State and Michigan, which was 17 million, but more than Notre Dame USC. Yeah, which to me is kind of telling, man. USC's playing for a spot in a title. Notre Dame was hot in 8-3. That's a pretty good rivalry too. And you can say, one was on Friday, so it was standalone. One was on Saturday, but that Notre Dame USC game didn't have a ton of competition either. Yeah. And you drew more than they did. So again, Big Ten, SEC. Yeah. What are y'all looking at?
Well, let's keep it in that realm. This is a good transition. We'll go to SROD 1998. Wake up, state champs. Thoughts on NIL portal and players. A lot of football, social media types talk about money Big Ten, SEC have, and that ACC is pretty much the little sisters of the blind, and stuck we are with this GOR well into the future. I have a different take. I look at teams outside of Ohio State and Michigan, and to me, the Big Ten putridly sucks. The SEC, we're 2-0 against them. All that money can pay a coach a little more, maybe buy a chocolate fountain for your facility, but is it making a difference yet? In italics, he puts. I see NIL and a coach that can identify portal talent as mattering more. Case in point, Jimbo and Mario, they spent more on players or spent more on NIL than we did, and they stunk, and they have rotten locker rooms. Don't get me wrong, would like to have that SEC or Big Ten TV money one day, but what are your thoughts on FSU's ability to compete in the current player acquisition marketplace as signing day and portal day are upon us?
Yeah, I think they're okay now. Not okay. They're still at a decided disadvantage, but clearly it's not that big a disadvantage when you look at how they competed against two SEC schools this year. But as we go further, and the SEC hasn't even – that's coming up, right? Their new negotiations. Yes. That's coming up, and you were talking about in the neighborhood of $70 million less per school. 60, I think those are the estimations, $60 to $70 million less per school per year. So what's it going to be in 2030 when Arkansas has accrued just in this realm of TV revenue has accrued $600 million more dollars than you? Yeah. It's a different sport, man. So not fair. It's dumb. It's stupid. They need to figure it out. They need to make it more equitable for everyone. But right now, because the gap is huge now, but it's getting wider almost exponentially in the coming years, and we'll see. I hope Florida State can still not only stay afloat, but prosper. But we'll have to see because I'm not convinced because it's going to be because 2036 is a long way away, gang.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we don't have a direct correlation between it, But, man, it's such a huge number, like Corey said. Like, I don't want to take the chance on it. You know, like, I'd rather have all the money and fail than not have the money and try and then probably fail. So
yeah.
let's get that figured out. Plus, let's start going to cooler places. You know, again, I've been to Raleigh enough. No offense, Raleigh. Beautiful place. Technology Triangle, Golden Triangle, whatever it's called. Awesome. Fuel place, marketplace of ideas. But, you know, let's get a little better game day atmosphere played. Your favorite athletes are always striving to put themselves in a winning position. And it's time that you did too with MyBookie. MyBookie.ag's got the biggest online selection of odds and contests to fill all your sports betting needs anytime, anywhere. Our contest, 3 games each week. Corey and I going heads up, making some picks, seeing how it shakes out. This is the last week we have. Maybe I'll finagle some sort of bowl thing to give myself a final gasp. Corey goes into this final week that we have up 1 game on me, 8-7 on the season. I am 7-8. I don't like any of these games that I picked, but alas, here we go, Corey. I'm going to take the Southern Jaguars in the SWAC championship game, plus 17.5.
Okay.
Jackson
All right.
State thumped them earlier this year, but I don't know, man. I think Dion, Colorado, other coaching stuff swirling around him. Maybe some focus is lost, maybe a little too loosey-goosey, and Southern keeps it tight. UNC's played terrible the last few weeks. But I'll take the 9 points. I don't know. Just Clemson's got to be a little heartbroken. And that's the thing. I don't think they're a champion. I think a champion would come out here and thrash North Carolina after losing a game like South Carolina. I think they might eke one out. Or at least, a touchdown, not more than 9. And that's a lot of points, 17. But I think Michigan walloped Iowa last year in the Big Ten championship game. I think they'll keep focus, and they'll make it past Purdue by more than 17. Don't like them. Just all for entertainment purposes, everybody. Corey, you're 3?
Yeah, I'm going to go the opposite on that game. I'm taking Purdue plus 17.
Okay.
I think there's going to be some nerves. Michigan's going to have a real chance to get in the playoff again. And also they probably know they're already in no matter what. So maybe no nerves. Maybe I just talked myself completely out of my original point because they know they're in either way. But still, I just think, I think that game could be closer. I think it's going to be a game in the late third quarter. And maybe Purdue. So maybe Michigan goes up by 23 late, and then Purdue scores a meaningless touchdown. But plus, what is it? Plus 18?
Yeah, 17.
Plus 17?
Yeah,
that's crazy. Then I'm going to go. I'm with you. I'm going North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I guess I should just pick whatever you picked, and then no way you can beat me.
Yeah, go in prevent mode, man. Come on.
Yeah, just take everything you picked. I like North Carolina plus 9.5. That seems like a big number. That kid is going to be nervous as all get out. Now, he's playing a horrible defense in North Carolina, but still. And I think Drake May could have a day. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. They might lose by 25 points. And then the last one, USC minus, what do you have on there? Was it 3?
Yeah.
USC minus 3. Okay. Just think I don't think they're going to blow them out clearly by any stretch. And I think Utah's going to run on them. They're more physical. But that kid's a pretty special quarterback. That offense is really hard to stop. And with a national championship game on the line, or a playoff spot on the line, and a Heisman on the line, I think they'll come out with the right mindset and beat Utah by more than 3 points.
Don't forget, everybody, sign up at MyBookie using the promo code WARCHANT on a deposit of $500 or more. You could claim a bonus of up to $200. Experience sports in a whole new light. Make this season a winning one, just like the Noles. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. All right, we're going to look back here now, Corey, to the Florida game. We got a couple Florida game queries. Redneck Knoll from Taylor County, that's their name. I didn't call them that. How about that victory over the Orange and Blue? It was so sweet after their winning streak over us. The environment was electric. These guys love to see each other win on the field. My question is this. No, actually, maybe he's not looking back. Somebody else was. I screwed it all up. I'll just keep reading. His question, Corey, is if our defense takes the steps it needs to take next year and quits allowing so many points to decent quarterbacks, does this team win a title next year, assuming Jordan Travis continues to climb and becomes better? Thanks for all the good content. Go Noles.
I mean, probably not. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but, I mean, there's only one team that win. I mean, unless you're talking about the ACC title, I think they're definitely in play for that. Like, really almost maybe favorites, especially because there's not divisions anymore. So they can lose it on the road at Clemson and then play them again in Charlotte and beat them the second time around. Like that can happen. So I think they have a chance at that. but I just, it's also almost impossible to answer. I'm not trying to be rude. We don't know what the roster is going to be.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
is Jared Verse back on the team? Are they getting 2 All-Americans from other schools to join? Like, we just don't know who else is on the team yet to answer those questions.
And this offense is really good, guys. They're 14th in yards. They're 18th in points scored. So, I mean, asking Jordan Travis to get better almost feels impractical. Like, just maintain. I know that's not the way things work. You either get better or worse. You never say the same. Shout out Mickey Andrews.
There you go.
But defensively, I guess if this defense can – because, they're going to still play pretty much mostly the same schedule. LSU's going to maybe a little bit better. Well, they'll probably be a lot better than they were when you played them this year. But, man, they're not playing Caleb Williams and then turning around and playing – well, C.J. Stroud will be gone. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I get the point. When they played competent, capable offenses, they looked pretty average. When they played bad offenses, they looked dominant.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many – hey, look at us. We went from 5 to possibly 10. So maybe Louisville will get some dynamic quarterback in the portal, and that'll change their fortunes. But I think this schedule will probably remain same-ish in terms of what they'll be going up against. Maybe they won't just hammer teams the way they did. But I don't know, man. If the defense gets to the level that the offense is at, absolutely they're a national championship contender. But I don't think you were saying contender. I mean, you were talking about them actually winning it because that's
winning it just because there's only one team that does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if they, but I don't even think the numbers do, because the numbers were similar, like in total defense and total offense. They're not that far off in their rankings in the country. But that offense is elite. There were 5 or 6 fourth quarters where Jordan Travis and the starters didn't play. There were whole halves Jordan Travis didn't play. So if they had played, that way, if they had played the whole game, then I'm thinking, yeah, man, they're gonna be top 8 in the country in total offense. As it is, I think they're like maybe 3rd or 4th in yards per play, and obviously they led the nation in explosive plays. Jordan Travis, by both CBS and PFF, was ranked the 3rd best quarterback in the entire country.
Well, CBS is Tom Fornelli, a writer from CBS.
Oh, sorry. Well, hey, man, he represents the entire company, Aslan. Yeah, okay. You know that.
You're right.
Just like Warchant's power rankings had Jordan Travis as the best quarterback at Florida State this year. So yeah, look, man, I just think they need to take a big leap talent-wise on the defense. They were very good for what they are talent-wise. It's that line of scrimmage, man. I just keep that. There's a little pause in me, and it goes back, Aslan, to what our biggest concern in the spring and in August was the depth on the defensive line.
Yeah.
Now, Patrick Payton developed. By the way, shout out to Patrick Payton, ACC Defensive Rookie of the Year, well earned. That guy's a player. Josh Farmer is probably a player. Anybody else that you know for sure is a game changer? Right. Derek McClendon's solid.
Yeah, Malcolm Ray's solid.
If that, I'm not trying to kill the kid, but if that, Jarrett Jackson, maybe, I don't know. That they have some solid. They don't have hardly any spectacular. Yeah. And I just think to win national championships, you need some spectacular on the defensive line, or on the defense in general.
Okie Noel shares an image off Sam McCall's Instagram. Saw this photo. It's the locker room. It's like I don't know if somebody tagged Sam in it or there's an orange shirt over it. So I don't know if one of his teammates did that. I don't know. It's weird. You probably should have to read it or look at the photo. There's like 2 captions on the photo. It's a photo of, I guess, his locker. The name is blacked out with like a Photoshop. It says, "Tell y'all coach, come see me next year," with the 100 emoji. Above that is a caption that says, "This funny to me, brah," with a bunch of laughing emojis, and it's like an orange shirt. So I guess he's just lamenting the loss of Sam McCall. Tough to see a talent like him go, but Mike's building a culture that isn't for everybody. That's a good thing. What are your thoughts? Yeah, man.
About the loss of Sam McCall? Is that the question?
Or building the culture.
I didn't quite understand what you were just describing there. All right.
I'll read it. "Hey, fellas, wake up. Saw this photo on Sam McCall's story. Looks like
I didn't understand the photo.
Well, yeah, I mean.
I don't understand. Is it a locker room photo of Sam McCall's locker?
No, it's his locker. Yeah, I don't know. The name is blacked out. I'm assuming it's his locker.
Okay.
But anyhow, how about just it's a tough. Mike is building a culture that isn't for everybody. That's a good thing. What are your thoughts? True. And yes.
Yeah, agreed. I was pretty adamant on my thoughts on yesterday's show. I know you probably didn't hear that, maybe, but not everybody listens to every minute of this show. I get it. But yes, I think you're gonna. There's a culture in a place. It's becoming a place you think where, a guy maybe, and I'm not throwing Sam McCall into this necessarily, but if you're not playing, and if you don't see yourself playing, and you're gonna maybe not gripe or mope, or I don't know whatever it is. I mean, he went into the portal 2 days after beating Miami 45-3, and then immediately took it down. But it's like, if that's the kind of player that in the midst of a great win, 2 days later has to come back and be like, look, I'm out of here. I know y'all are all happy and through the moon, and y'all love our coach, but I'm out of here, and I want y'all to know it. Can't wait till the end of the season, and then did what he did on Instagram Tuesday night. All right. Yeah, I think by and large, you're probably better off without those types of players in the locker room.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, Sam McCall, again, is very young. He might turn it around. I have no idea the backstory there. I have none. So this isn't about Sam McCall. So this is an ellipsis into something else. But we saw a lot of bad locker room stuff from 2016 to 2020. A lot of it. And I think Florida State is on the other side of that. And if you are a bad locker room guy, again, not necessarily related to Sam McCall, but if you are somebody that just wants people to know how miserable you are, I think, yes, it's almost no matter how talented you are, probably no matter how talented you are, I won't even couch it, you'd probably be better off somewhere else. And they're not going to stand for it, right?
Right.
I don't think Norvell's going to let that stuff go in the locker room.
No. Postscript to that kind of, I think lost after the Florida game was Jarian Jones's interview when he was up there on the table with his other teammates. I forget who else was up there with him, but check out the interview. It's up on our
Jamie and Shaheem.
Crushed it. There you go.
There you go.
And I think it was him that talked about, he was kind of asked about full circle or just growing and things like that. And he talked about, man, I thought that guy was crazy. Like, I think he was saying, like, he thought Norvell was crazy when he got here, but now he believes in him and trusts in him and plays hard for him, obviously. That was one of my kind of hang-ups. I remember people posting, like, the AFCA speech that Norvell made before he came to Florida State. I'm like, that sounds cool, but man, there's an edge to kids that play at Georgia and Alabama and these great Florida State teams. Like, I feel like you play this sport, man, you need to have some nasty in you. And he's a nice guy, but then he's also maniacal at practice when he flips the switch as a head coach. But then you see guys like Dylan Gibbons, that's a nice guy, but he plays nasty. You see a guy like Jared Verse, he's a nice guy, but he plays nasty. So, you can have your edge, man, but you need to be able to kind of also find, have a heart in you or look at the bigger picture of things and realize that everyone has to kind of maybe make some sacrifices and figure out ways to push through tough spots in their careers, if you will. So, and if you can't do that, then, you'll probably have to move on and try to hang on somewhere else. And, you can learn and change and succeed. And just if Sam McCall goes out and has a great career somewhere, it's not, Mike Norvell didn't screw up. Like, I can't believe he blew that. It might have just needed that kind of change for him to figure things out. Look at Jermaine Johnson, different things. I mean, he wasn't upset or creating any kind of friction at Georgia, but, man, they let him walk. Look at him, man. I mean, it wasn't like they missed him, though, but shoot. I don't know. Maybe they would have blown out Alabama the entire game.
Well, that's right. Maybe they felt worse about that national championship because they didn't beat Alabama worse. Yeah, man, and again, I want that to be well known. I have no issue. I don't begrudge anyone about transferring if they're going to look for a better spot, if it's not working out for them, if the depth chart isn't aligning for them. Absolutely. Feel free. You get one chance to do it, go do it. I transferred from Georgia Southern to Georgia. I can't begrudge anyone else transferring schools. It's just, you don't have to air grievances publicly. That was my bother. I don't think Jermaine Johnson did that leaving Georgia.
Right.
After whatever they did, whatever bowl they were in, the Peach Bowl in 2020, he's like, I'm out of here. This stuff's nonsense. I mean, he didn't do that. And that's just the issue I had with any of it, but again, hopefully it works out.
Old dads and old want to talk about the Gators game. I would like your thoughts on what in the world that staff was doing offensively in the third quarter. They totally got away from what they did in the first half and later got back to in the fourth quarter, but I would be asking a lot of why if I were a fan of that team. To me, that cost them the game. Thanks for a great season of coverage, Old Dad.
Yeah, I wasn't sure they would throw a pass in the second half. And then they came out, and I believe on their first 3 drives of the half that were all 3 and outs, I think they threw on 2 or called passing plays on 2 of the 3 plays each time, which I would have thought they would all have been straight runs. I thought the quarterback would have run more. They were just, I mean, they were really, really physical on the offensive line and opening up holes. It really was bizarre that they kind of switched it up a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Thanks. It was weird. And then they got, like you said, they got back to it and immediately, like literally, so Florida State scores to go up 38-24. And they call what to me just looks like a pretty simple off. I know it's out of the shotgun, but it looked to me like a pretty simple off tackle play that got him 25 yards. And all of a sudden they're right back on the move again. It's like, well, why didn't y'all do that the last 3 drives? But I wasn't worried about. I wasn't mad about it. It worked out for everyone, but it was a bizarre game plan there in the third quarter.
Thanks, Billy. Appreciate you, man. Spartan 071, aloha, guys. How's it? Corey asked last week, do you think Ralph will be at the LSU game next year? Yes, I will. I'll be in Tallahassee in August. I'll take a day or so to hang out in Tallahassee. Then I'm going to go to the game. Then I'll go back to Hawaii later on in September. Can't wait for everybody to see him. Question. FSU laid claim to state champs, but what about last year? We split. How does it work when 2 of the 3 don't play each other? Absent a serious question about our unknown bowl opponent, this was the best I could do. With much mahalos, or with mucho mahalos, aloha from your friend, Ralph.
You can take that, Aslan. Ralph, you're the best, buddy. Can't wait to see you again, man.
I don't know. I mean, well, listen, Florida hasn't played Miami consistently since, I don't know, the 80s. They play like once every 10 years, it seems like now.
Yeah.
I think Florida State is the only team that can lay claim to it, really, which is kind of a self-serving thing. But, hey, whatever.
Yep.
We're
the Louisiana State champs, too, and they haven't played Tulane or, Southern. No. But, look, I think the reality is it's not an official state championship. It's just what Florida State claims because they beat the other 2 big-name schools in the state. But the other 2 can't win it because they don't play each other. I think Cristobal said that, didn't he? Like a weirdo? I think he said that a couple days ago. Like, you can't really win a state championship because we don't play Florida. It's like, buddy, you lost 45-3. You weren't in contention for the state championship.
Yeah, it's out. You're gone, man. It's out of your reach, buddy. Out of your reach.
Growing up, my dad used to take me to the game at the stadium. We'd watch our favorite team play, and then we'd always eat at Zaxby's. That's why it means so much to me that Zaxby's is the official chicken of college fans. To me, they go together perfectly. It reminds me of my dad and...
Oh, come on, Ref! Are you serious? Get some glasses! Terrible call!
Now I take my kids to the game, and we always eat at Zaxby's too. It's tradition.
We're proud to be the official chicken of college fans. Zaxby's, indescribably good.
And don't forget to listen in for the Zaxby's Indescribably Good Player of the Week every Monday on Wake Up Warchant.
Let's bundle these 2 together. Warpath Knoll with Velvet Hammer Diplomacy. Very subtle, very nice. Wake up, fellas. What was each of your biggest surprises of the season? We'll package that with random_John. A little more forceful. Given how you felt about this team in the preseason versus what they became, what do you feel you were most wrong about? I remember preseason, everything felt like any win above 8 was a mere pie in the sky, yet here we are. So confession time, what did you get wrong?
The offense. We hadn't seen it the last 2 years. I did not think it was going to take a leap like this. I thought the defense played about how I thought the defense would play. I think they were good against bad teams and not good against good teams. I kind of thought that's how it would be. I thought they'd be above average but not exceptional. And I think we could agree they were above average but not exceptional. Uh-huh. I didn't think the Florida State offense would take a leap of 9 points per game difference.
Yeah.
Also, and that coincides with what Jordan Travis is. I didn't know he had this ceiling in him.
Well, not 9. They had 27.6 last year. Well, yeah, no, you're right. 9.
What are they averaging this year?
37 point or no, that was last year. Last year was 27.6. This year, 36.2.
Okay.
So, yeah,
I feel like I was right on the money there with that one.
You are right on the money. Yeah, I don't
That's a
want to
huge
say,
deal,
that's
right?
huge.
Going up
It's
9 points is
incredible, man.
again, it's crazy. And
Two
it wasn't an
possessions.
easy schedule.
2 possessions worth. Yeah, we saw Jordan do crazy things the last 2 years. I never thought he could put it together for 60 minutes for 12 games.
That too, being healthy for all, starting all 12. He finished 11. Well, no, he only finished probably 5 of them, but he was healthy. He was standing upright and could go in the game for 11 of them, and he started all 12.
Yeah, so certainly for me, that's what I got wrong. I mean, terribly wrong, was just how talented and really, I don't know, sustainable, I think was the word I would use a lot, just in terms of, does these crazy plays, but can he do it every single game, week in and week out? Not even so much from a health perspective, but it's just like that first drive of the game, Florida, I think, sacked him, and you're like, man, this is going to be a long night. Like, physical teams know how to hem in mobile quarterbacks, but then we saw that not be the case as they proceeded to whiff on absolute dead-to-rights opportunities to bring him down.
And I think they finished top 10 in the country in third down percentage offensively, which that's what good offenses do. I think they converted all the rest of their red zone attempts. Fourth is an amazing number. That's incredible. That all goes back to the quarterback. And even that, Aslan, I brought this up on headlines. So after he gets tackled for a loss after on second down on that first drive, it's 3rd and 7 against an SEC defense in a very big game. And what does he do? He just rips a nice 11-yard throw of the middle of the field to Pokey Wilson. Now, Pokey ends up fumbling it 12 yards later. It wasn't ideal. But last year, that stuff just didn't happen. You just didn't see a 3rd and 7 and the quarterback just rip one over the middle for a first down. And he did it. It started early. It started in the LSU game, hitting Cam McDonald a few times on third and 10s, 3rd and 8s. They weren't 3rd and 2s. I thought if just the way it had been, and look, man, much of this is just the receivers were better. But I just thought anything over 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, really 3rd and 3 with this offense would be a challenge because I didn't know that the passing offense could operate at that efficiency. And I didn't know this quarterback could see it and get rid of it. I didn't know he was going to make a jump like that. But he did, and he became one of the best quarterbacks in the United States. I mean, literally, like we just said, PFF has the 3rd-ranked Power 5 quarterback. Some guy from CBS has him as the 3rd-ranked quarterback. He finished 2nd team All-ACC. By the way, Drake May, I think, is ranked above him in one of those. So it's not a travesty that he finished 2nd. But I would have never thought he was going to be a 2nd team All-ACC going into this season. And I was a big Travis supporter. It has been and have been for 2 years. I just didn't know his ceiling was this high. By the way, another reason to love Jordan Travis. Mike Farrell, many of you guys know, is a Rivals or was a Rivals recruiting guy. I don't know. I'm not sure who he works for now. Hopefully not On 3. But even if he does work for On 3, we all make mistakes. But he tweeted on May 27th. This was making the rounds earlier this week on Twitter. He tweeted on May 27th, 2022, dove into the FSU offensive roster a smidge this morning. It's not pretty. Well, Jordan Travis just retweeted that on Wednesday evening. So pretty funny stuff.
Nice. Yeah, just to wrap that up, obviously, again, totally wrong. Totally missed it on Jordan. Shout out Jordan. But surprised, I think, would be the offensive line. Just how remarkably efficient and physical they were. And then, honorable mention, probably the running backs. Like I said, man, Trey Benson said it. I mean, it was his words. I'm not trying to use his words against it, but, I mean, he said last year that he was at 96% going into week 1. Now, listen, man, they had a really good running back up there that's now at Southern Cal and hurt. I think Travis Dye, maybe.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Chop Liver was starting ahead of Trey Benson. They weren't doing coaching malpractice, not giving Trey Benson the ball a lot. But you're like, yeah, I like Trayshawn Ward a lot. Lawrence Toafili gives you something in spurts. But to think that you would have a team that was going to run for 200 yards 7 straight times through November, that's a surprise, man. That's awesome. Yeah. So, Warpath Noel, thank you for the question. Random_John, we all have different ways of asking questions. It's fine. Let's go to Mark in Naples. We only got a couple more, Corey. I shouldn't have said that because we're doing
sweet,
well
man.
on time, but this might make you feel like you can roam more.
No. I got a basketball game to go to, buddy.
Oh, that's right. Go Noles. We're not holding up this train for the basketball team, everybody.
Exactly right. Just assume as you're listening to this that Florida State lost to number 5 Purdue on Wednesday night. We'll go ahead and assume that. In fact, Aslan, we'll make a deal. If Florida State pulls off the stunner, we'll record like a 2-minute intro about the basketball game.
How about this? If they win, I will storm the field. I will storm the court.
Oh, you and me, both of us, man.
I will storm the court.
That's nice. Okay.
Yeah. All right, Mark's in Naples. Wish the team could have kept playing, but, man, I'm pumped to see we'll have some of these seniors, impact players, getting ready for the bowl game. That's a true testament to what this team has built and how they want to play with and for each other and for the coaches. All right, so what bowl game and matchup are you rooting for? Mark says, I want Texas in the Cheez-It Bowl. Second choice would be Tulane Cotton Bowl. Aslan, as much as you enjoyed the trip to El Paso with Ira, I bet you're pumped to cover a good bowl game. Dude, I loved El Paso. Listen,
but it's just not a marquee.
I'd rather go to El Paso than Orlando. Sorry, I've never been to El Paso. I mean, that was cool to me.
What about right now, 2022, Aslan? Would you rather go back to El Paso or Orlando?
I'd rather go back to El Paso because
you and Jeff Cameron, you guys are like anywhere but the closest place that's the easiest place for the fans to get to.
It's cheap, and we could stay at the media hotel for like a whole week without guilt-free. Don't want to ruin like the budget and everything.
Right.
They fed us amazingly. The stadium was beautiful.
Okay.
I thought it was cool, man. But I get it. I get it, everybody. I mean, we'll probably get a cool bowl present, Cheez-It Bowl, Orlando, sweet. If not, if we end up in San Diego, I will travel to that one as well. So he's got a two-parter. Let's get to that one. Brett McMurphy, who's pretty good at this. I don't know if he's the Joe Lunardi of bowl games, but on Wednesday has Florida State playing Oklahoma in the Cheez-It Bowl. And I think Oklahoma's 6-6, man.
Yes,
which
they're
is
not very good this year.
An insult. Like why would we not get Texas? I think Texas I think it got Texas maybe in the Cotton Bowl playing Tulane, if I'm not mistaken. New Year's Six Bowl over everything, obviously. But yeah, I'd rather go to the Cheez-It Bowl than the Tax Slayer Bowl.
Okay,
so I'll say that.
Yeah, the Oklahoma matchup doesn't really excite you, except that Florida State. It seems like Florida State would be favored by 8 to 10 points.
Have we ever beat Oklahoma?
Playing. And that's what I was saying. It would actually give you a chance to finally beat Oklahoma, because it just does not happen. It's like Houston. We just can't beat Houston in football, going back to the 60s for some reason. But yeah, I would say I would love Florida State, South Carolina in Jacksonville. I think that'd be a matchup that people cared about. They would show up. Florida State fans would show up. It would have the feel of like a real kind of big bowl game because they played so well to end the year. As opposed to a 6-6 Oklahoma team in their first season with Venables. But yeah, I think Orlando gets first choice. I think from what I was reading with Brett McMurphy, how it works real quick is it's not real quick. I'm already going on too long. Sorry, gang.
See, we did. I knocked them off.
So the Rose Bowl gets, obviously, when Michigan win, they're not getting Michigan. So they're probably going to take the next team they would take would be Ohio State if they're not in the playoff. So if USC wins, then Ohio State is out of the playoff. And then they're Rose Bowl eligible. But the thought is Pasadena wouldn't want Ohio State again because they just were there last year, and it will be their third trip there in 5 years. So they have the right to take Penn State, and they would probably take Penn State, which would then shove Ohio State somewhere else, and it would open the door for the Tampa Bowl to take an ACC team, the Outback Bowl, whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called now, but
Reliant Quest.
Okay,
Reliant Quest.
And they would take Notre Dame. And then I guess.
Take an ACC team, Notre Dame.
I know, right, exactly. A partial ACC team. But so Tampa, if they got first choice, I guess, according to McMurphy, would take Notre Dame. And then that would open the door for Orlando, who kind of technically gets first choice after to take Florida State. That's how it would work, necessarily. But I guess there's still an outside shot that the Cotton Bowl could happen for Florida State because they could get up all the way to 10th, but probably not.
If Florida State does play South Carolina, I'll need you to record Mike Norvell's press conference. I'd want to go into the South Carolina one and just ask
You're going to be
Shane
a beamer. Yeah,
like, hey, man,
I gotcha.
Hey, Shane, did they quit on you out there? Come on, man.
Nice.
12th game of the season, man. Give me a break, man.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Second part of Mark's question. Aside from Jordan Travis, assuming he returns, who are your top 3 impact players that will likely return and play a significant role in 2023?
It's a good question.
Is Robert Scott? I mean, I know it's a left tackle. It's not sexy,
He counts.
but you know, man, he held it down. He was all ACC. I'll give it one of the offensive linemen. I mean, I think they got enough depth at wide receiver that if one of those guys got nicked up for a few games, they'd be fine. So I'm not going to put them as an impact.
I'd say Johnny and Trey, but also like I think I've talked about on this show. I got so many of them, gang. I can't remember what shows I say these things on. That even if they lost Trey Benson, which I would be surprised. I'd be surprised if anybody on offense went.
I'd be shocked. I'd upgrade.
You'd be shocked. I'd be surprised. But either way, if that happens with Trey Benson, man, does anybody doubt that Norvell, that this running game will not average 200 yards again next season? Like, Trey Benson's nice. He's a good player. It's fun to watch him in the open field, just throwing dudes off him like they're children. But he'll have running. They have running backs. They got guys coming in. Rodney Hill, we think, is very good. Watching him behind a first-string offensive line would be fun. You're still going to have, theoretically, Jordan Travis, who changes the game for the rushing attack, too. And you might have Toafili and Trayshawn Ward and all. I mean, you'd still be okay.
Transferred in from Penn State.
You got the kid from Penn State, too. Yeah, I think you'd still be okay.
Yeah. So I'm with Patrick Payton, Robert Scott, and Renardo Green.
Renardo? Okay, yeah, throw Renardo. Maybe Shaheem.
Okay.
Shaheem's got a little something to him, man. I like that kid.
Yeah, especially if Jamie's going to be, moving on. All right, Big B7034, wake up, gents. B-Rob here, a.k.a. Kari. LOL.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Nice.
Let's see how long has he been a member? All right, he's been here since August. This is his first ever post, though.
Oh, all right.
I love how people are like James B., warchant.com loyalist, subscriber.
Legend.
Only comments, though, 99% of his online interactions are on YouTube. Like, he rarely comes on the boards, but he's always on YouTube. And then our guy Bakari, usually on YouTube. Never seen him here on Warchant, but let's go. Seeing how portal transfers, hey, folks, you could have your question read by Corey Clark and Aslan Hajavandi for the low price of $10 for an entire year. Subscribe to warchant.com. Maybe that'll be our thing, Corey. One of these times, if they make the playoff next year, you'll read all the questions when we're on the plane private flying to the playoff spot.
We're on the Warchant jet. We're on the Warchant jet flying to L.A. Okay, all right.
Seeing how portal transfers and the development of players already on the roster has greatly improved the wide receiver group and the perception of Dugans, what position coach that's viewed negatively could ultimately change how they'd be viewed if their talent is improved? As always, go Noles.
Well, the two obvious answers to me are Randy Shannon and Woodson.
Yeah.
I don't think the linebackers as a whole were not great this year. They were better because they got Tatum Bethune. That helped. Didn't like what I really honestly didn't like a ton of what I saw from Deloach.
In the second half of the season.
I don't think he took a step forward like we thought he would, especially after the step forward he took to end 2021. He seemed very much the same player, if not a little bit worse. And then the secondary, I don't think you can argue that they played exceptionally there. They weren't horrible, but Amarian Cooper's development, Kevin Knowles' development, Akeem Dent, like those, I think you could say all three of those guys, Amarian Cooper definitely was a disappointment because of how good he was last year. Knowles and Akeem Dent certainly didn't distinguish themselves as getting appreciably better a year under his tutelage. So it's not always a coach's fault, man. They might just be what they are. But if we're gonna comment on the coaches that might feel
perception, it's about perception.
The perception, yes, of not having a very good group and not doing an exceptional job coaching them, I would think it'd be those two, and the kicking coach.
I want to introduce this with like a wry comment, but I can't. Chris Thompson, though. I mean, tight ends haven't been great. He ain't going anywhere. I'm not trying.
Right.
This isn't like fire a coach part of the show. But, man, tight ends have not really. I mean, Cam McDonald's made some catches here and there. But
he was like third on the team in receiving yards.
Yeah, I mean, if, he talks about what would, how could they the perception change if they were able to get improved talent? That's somewhere probably, right? Or if Brian Courtney takes a step forward, because I mean, all they've really had is Cam McDonald these 2.5, well, they've almost been 3 full years now. It's been him. It's been Preston Daniel. Biscuit's shown improvement, but Biscuit still is kind of limited in what he can do for you.
Right.
If it's not A.J. Duffy throwing him the ball, that is. Him and A.J., sweet music.
Man, what a connection.
Mark Duper.
It's like Brady
Dan
and Gronk.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there we go. There's some answers for
That's a good answer. And honestly, man, if they got a special tight end, like an All-American caliber tight end, like one of the 3 at Georgia, came to Florida State, the way that they run stuff for the tight end, I mean, you could have an All-American here. Like they run incredible stuff in the screen game. They somehow get it on one of the biggest drives of the season. Cam McDonald is running scot-free in the middle of the field against Florida, and that would happen once or twice a game. Yeah. So that's if I was a tight end, or if I was a former Florida State football player that had a son that was a great tight end, I tell you what, Aslan, I'd be thinking about the Noles. Just saying.
Well said. Hey, how about the last one, Corey? We made it.
Let's do it.
Cole 4. I've never seen Cole around here. He's been around here since August. He's not in posts.
One of the $1 gang.
That's
I see you, Cole.
What team do you think would win? 2022 Florida State or 2016 Florida State? I think a good rule of thumb in these situations, Corey, is always like go with the team that's got the better quarterback.
Yeah, that's a good point, but or go with the team that has Dalvin and
Dalvin Cook.
Well, Dalvin. I was going to say Dalvin and Derwin, but Derwin didn't play in that much of that season. Much like Jabril Peppers missed the Orange Bowl, so did Derwin James. Man,
prisoner of the moment makes you want to say 2022.
Yeah, I'm just that 2016 defense was not good. They got better as the season went on, I guess, but that wasn't a great unit. It certainly had more talent than this one, I think. Josh Sweat was on that team, right?
Yeah,
He's just out there sacking people on Monday Night Football now.
DeMarcus Walker. I think they could rise up and slow down the run
Walker
game.
Too.
I don't know if 2022 could stop Dalvin. But I don't think 2016 could slow down Jordan Travis, though. So
that's like a 44-41 shootout.
Yeah.
And who had the better kicker? Probably the 2016 version. That was before Ricky. Well, it was before Turntle, and it was before Ricky started missing a lot of kicks. So I would say I guess I give a slight edge to 2016, but it's razor thin, man. I could see either way. You're right. I think Jordan Travis the better quarterback, and I certainly think the 2016 team played harder. Or sorry, exact opposite. I think the 2022 team played harder. We all watched the Showtime. Well, not all of us, but some people watched the Showtime show where those players were. The 16 team was having to sign promise notes to try hard. That did not happen on the 2022 unit. So, all things being equal, go with the team with the better quarterback, go with the team with the better offense, and go with the team that tries hard. So, I've talked myself into it. 2022 on a Fitzmagic 39-yard field goal at the horn.
I'll go with 2016 just to be contrarian.
I know you would.
Be loyal to my guy.
I know.
Brock Rubel. Love you, Brock. We're going to thank all these people as these things matriculate in here. Thanks to Florida Boat Guy. He tagged us in a thread on Warchant's Travel Council, a screenshot of his Spotify. I guess we're at that time of the year now where Spotify tells you what you've listened to the most. He spent 4,603 minutes of his year listening to us.
Oh, boy.
So that's
wow.
That's so awesome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I can't even do the math of how many hours that is, but a lot.
Yeah. Don't ask me to do math. Not that you were.
It's like 80 hours. That's like 80. That's like 78 hours listening to us. So 78 of complete shows.
We do like an hour every day, though, man. That's not enough.
Well, good point. Good point. It should be 200 hours. What is that? What was that? 12,000? Should be 12,000 minutes.
Our guy Austin Flowers. I don't know if they're the same guy. I don't think Florida Boat Guy and Austin Flowers are the same guy. They're not. Austin Flowers tweeted at us. Thanks, Wake Up Warchant, Aslan Hodges, which is not my last name. We need to figure out my new Twitter handle, everybody. It's been 4 years. And Corey Clark for being my top podcast on Spotify this year. I loved all 5,693 minutes of it.
Okay. Wow. So, there's no way you loved all of them. But we really do appreciate it, man. Thank you. That's yeah. I saw a few of those on Twitter. That's really neat. It's cool. So does Spotify, is that different than how I listen to my podcasts on my iPhone?
Yeah, if you don't use a Spotify app, yeah. If you're using the Apple,
then you're not
iOS,
doing that, right? Okay.
Right.
I wish iTunes would do that too.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Our guy Sean Knoll Nation 19. Thanks for getting me through my day. Sorry, Corey. I know we don't like hearing compliments, but this is cool. It got me in my feels. We're his third most listened to podcast, but the two in front of us are not college football, so it's fine.
Oh,
Phil.
Good.
Well, actually, no. He's got a bar stool one in front of us, and then one about golf. So
okay, all right.
Thank you, Sean, but not as much as we thanked Death Star Destroyer and Austin. Well, that's Austin Flowers' name on Twitter, and our guy Florida Boatman. Okay. All right, I'll stop rambling. Corey, we're going to go cover practice. You're going to cover a basketball game.
Yeah, man. Hey, and good news for the Noles fans, too, is after they get done playing Purdue on Wednesday night, they get to travel to Charlottesville to play like the number 3 team in the country on Saturday. So the basketball team you loved dearly is about to be 1-9 on the season. Prove me wrong, kids. Maybe they're about to be 3-7 and in the top 10. I don't know.
If iron sharpens iron, what is
man? We'll see. I'm not
iron do.
It just makes me sad. I hope they pull it together and play well these two games. Even if they don't win, I just hope they compete and play hard. But if history is an indication, this team probably will not. But let's hope. Let's hope, man. Come on. This is ugly for Ham.
All right. That's a wrap for us. Thanks so much for listening to this one and every other show that we've done this year. But we got more. We ain't going anywhere. We'll be around. Stay connected to warchant.com. Practice interviews, practice observations, practice video, and the Jeff Cameron Show with Tom Lang, 1 to 3 o'clock right here on Warchant TV. That's our YouTube channel, as well as 93.3 FM in Tallahassee terrestrial radio. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.